Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. This is not my essay. This is from an editor at Reason magazine named Matthew Petti. The essay is called The Materiel Loss, How the U.S. Military Busts Its Budget on Wasteful, Careless, and Unnecessary, quote, self-licking ice cream cones. Losing $85 million in inventory? That's a job for the U.S. military. In 2023, the Government Accountability Office revealed that a government contractor had lost 2 million spare parts for the F-35 fighter, worth tens of millions of dollars. The Department of Defense followed up on only 20,000 of the 2 million parts. Some of the losses are simple bureaucratic inefficiencies. Quote, "It's a good example of the right hand not knowing what the left is doing," says Scott Amy, a lawyer for the nonprofit Project on Government Oversight. In other cases, the government and contractors don't seem to even want to keep good track of their inventory. Quote, "Sometimes it's easier to just buy something, especially near the end of the fiscal year, to drive the budget up, than to use something you already have." Amy adds, Amy added that. Then President Dwight Eisenhower famously said, quote, "This world in armaments isn't spending money alone. It's spending the sweat of its laborers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children." End quote. Pouring more cash into the military budget may be like pumping water into a clogged pipe. Instead of getting through, the fluid leaks out of places it shouldn't. While the U.S. runs short of weapons it actually needs to win a war, the Pentagon buys things it doesn't need. The Defense Department has infamously failed every single audit Congress has ever mandated. Nobody even knows where the money is going. All the while, officials continue to insist they're making progress. Quote, "We keep getting better and better at it," Biden's Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said at a 2023 news conference after the 6th failed audit. Perhaps the most infamous cases of waste occurred in Afghanistan, where the U.S. spent 20 years trying to prop up a friendly Afghan government, only to have Taliban rebels sweep the capital. The U.S. left $7.12 billion of American-provided equipment with the doomed Afghan army. It soon fell into the Taliban's hands. Images of Taliban fighters riding around with captured vehicles became a symbol of American failure. The U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan found $2.4 billion were abandoned, misused, or falling apart. I'm assuming we're talking about equipment. For example, the military spent $25 million for a new headquarters in Helmand, Afghanistan, and kept construction going even after U.S. troops were leaving the province. 2 Army generals and a Marine general all requested permission to stop construction, arguing the current plywood headquarters in Helmand were just fine. They were rebuffed by Peter Vangiel, then the Deputy Commander of Army Forces in the Middle East and Central Asia. He wasn't thinking of military needs, just the military budget. Getting permission to do something else with the cash would require congressional approval. The Defense Department bought 20 used Italian transport planes for the Afghan army for $549 million. Soon after, Afghan air crews discovered severe issues with the aircraft. The U.S. military flew 4 of the planes back to Europe and sold the remaining 16 planes for scrap, earning back just $40,000 of the $549 million. Congress has pushed the military to take on more equipment than even it asks for. For the past several years, the Navy has asked for a certain number of ships, and Congress has budgeted an even larger number. Literal combat ships, LITTORAL, small, fast-moving, multi-purpose, have been a particular fiasco. Originally estimated to cost $220 million each, they ended up costing more than twice that, $500 million, $500 million. And it couldn't even sail right. Nor was it very good at fighting. Putting it more delicately, a Pentagon report said the ships would be, quote, challenged in a contested environment, end quote. But there was too much contractor money and too many contractor jobs tied up in the little crappy ship. Senator Tammy Baldwin, Democrat from Wisconsin, wrote a letter to President Trump protesting that 1,850 shipyard workers risked being laid off. The Navy budget then added a second $500 million ship. Quote, maintaining the industrial base was really the sole consideration, end quote, a source told Defense News. It didn't matter whether the money was buying usable equipment. What mattered was that the factories kept running. Quote, that's like saying you need to keep eating junk food so that maybe one day you can eat vegetables. It's an absurd argument, argues Dan Caldwell of Defense Priorities. Quote, every problem with our defense budget ultimately flows from our trying to pursue an American grand strategy of primacy in a world where we are facing increasing constraints. That leads us to try to build weapon systems like the literal combat ship that aren't suited to the threats we face, end quote. He adds that the military contractors are the primary, quote, political constituency in parts of the country, end quote, leading to a, quote, self-licking ice cream cone, end quote. In other words, one reason the U.S. government won't give up trying to dominate the entire world is because cutting military contractor jobs is just bad politics. U.S. politicians use preparation for war as a jobs program. Those bad political incentives are hurting genuine military readiness. Again, that essay was called Materiel Loss, How the U.S. Military Busts Its Budget on Wasteful, Careless, and Unnecessary, quote, self-licking ice cream cones, by Matthew Petti, assistant editor at Reason. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.